Thanks, Ronak, for the introduction. A warm welcome to all of you for attending this session. Appreciate that you are taking time out to attend this session, given the different vacation seasons and also the busy schedules that all of you as our partners are encouraging our customers to get onboarded and run their processes on SAP S/4HANA Cloud. So what we've got for you for the next 30 to 45 minutes is to give you and share the latest updates in regards to what we've delivered as part of the FPS 01, which got out from SAP just a couple of few weeks ago, and give you snippet in terms of some of the key highlights across all the lines of businesses that Cloud ERP Private caters to, and also leave you with some additional key information, which will be of primary interest to you around the topics of clean code, the discovery packages, or the test demo and development licenses, and a whole lot of other resources that you could leverage as you engage in conversations with the customers. So with this as the background, we welcome you to the session. My name is Vinay. I'm part of the Cloud ERP private team, and I'm also joined by my colleagues, Christine Hoffman and Muni Lakshmi, who will be supporting me during the course of next 30 to 45 minutes. So there are also topics, which are in beta release and about to get released. So the usual, all familiar disclaimer slide, before we get started. Now we thought it's a good point to kind of reinforce the overall strategy of SAP and then do a double click in terms of how the innovations are leading towards that. And we thought it's always good to start with this familiar slide, that hopefully all of you are also using it in the conversations with your customers, which fundamentally outlines and reinforces the vision of SAP. It is not AI alone, or it's not the application alone, but it is the interplay between the application data and the AI that is of importance to actually deliver value to the customers. Of course, we are all familiar that the applications form the bedrock, lay the foundation where the business processes are run. It provides the context for the data, either to derive further insights or then create intelligence out of that, leveraging the power of AI, which should ultimately not only provide that intelligence and insights for running the processes, but also help to optimize the processes to make that fundamental difference and be able to enable our customers to leverage SAP to gain the differentiation for their business processes. So this is the flywheel, the momentum that illustrates the interplay between the application data and the AI, all coming together seamlessly to help deliver that value in the context of SAP's portfolio for our customers. Now, if we double click and try to understand what this means in the context of Cloud ERP Private and now how each of these layers are being addressed to, it is very clear that from the application standpoint, now this is the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. The fundamental ERP offering from SAP, which has been running the business processes for thousands of customers across the globe, across 25 industries that we have, giving the customers the opportunity to also have in a way that is configured and tailored to meet their business processes, in addition to the best practices, and that thousands of customers have entrusted to run their mission critical business processes at scale across the globe. So that forms the fundamental application in the context of the Cloud ERP Private. And of course, this not only provides and lends the enterprise context, but also creates that all important and valuable data that now we are increasingly feeding into the data layer of the business data cloud. Having that content, having that context, so that it not only can help drive the insights, but also feed it into the intelligence layer, where we are leveraging the power of AI to make a fundamental change in the way the end users work with SAP, not only in terms of their engagement and experiences, working with the SAP S/4HANA Cloud private environment, but also to see tangible um, changes to the business processes know that they are continuously engaging with SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private. So this is fundamentally shaping the way we are also doing our investments and having our innovation focus to see how we, within the context of cloud ERP private, can deliver, in terms of differentiating business processes, enhancements around the business processes uh, that customers run their processes on, to see how we can contribute to the big data journey that is currently, happening and kind of shaping the way the insights, the analytics are being run, leveraged, but also translate that into the intelligent scenarios, either for changing the way the end users work or to enhance the way the processes can be further optimized, leveraging the power of AI. And that gives a nice segue in terms of the innovation areas, what we have delivered as part of the 2025 release FPS01. So I said this got out of the gates of SAP a few weeks ago. Still pretty fresh. And the investment focus and the innovation focus is across all the different lines of business. As all of you are familiar and have been running it for our customers, the core offering within the Cloud ERP Private, which is the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition, caters to diverse lines of business, enabling our customers to do the initial design, product development, do the procurement and the sourcing for the components that would be required to carrying the entire manufacturing and production of the products, uh, and managing the logistics that is required to not only facilitate the inbound flow of goods and products, but also taking it to the customers, managing the entire life cycle of the plant and the machinery that is required to produce, as well as the assets that are getting developed and maintained at the customers, right? And a whole lot of supporting functions, be it in the domain of finance and HR, that we are supporting in the context of Cloud ERP Private. So if you look at the FPS O1, you can see that the investment focus has been across all the three layers. In terms of the applications, which are indicated by the blue color coded boxes here. A lot of investments have also gone into the purple uh, colored boxes, which reflect or which indicate the AI related investments, be it in Joule or in the embedded AI scenarios that we are developing and delivering, and also in the domain of the agents, no, which is pretty exciting, and we'll take a look at that in a moment as well. And of course, contributing it to the data layer through the data products, which are indicated here in the dark blue. So the innovation area is catering across all lines of business. No key thing to note, and it also covers and plays along the different focus areas, strategic focus areas on the application level, on the data level, as well as on the AI level. So the focus would be to get a glimpse in terms of some of the key highlights across select lines of business, so that you have a good understanding in terms of how these innovations are translating into value for our customers. There's been a lot of talk and conversations around the topic of AI. Every couple of months, I think there are newer domains, there are newer frontiers being conquered in the domain of AI. We just wanted to put in perspective how within the Cloud ERP Private we are looking at the entire domain of AI. Right? We introduced the AI based assistants, if you will, about a year and a half, close to 2 years now, with the 2023 FPS O3 release, where we are looking at how AI could be leveraged to fundamentally change the way end users interact and engage with the environment. How the AI-based assistant, what we call as Joule, can help to significantly drive productivity for the end user in the way they interact and engage with the system. We also looked at saying that it's not just about the end user productivity that AI has potential and capable for. It is also about how the processes can be optimized and how it can be accelerated in many of the scenarios, leveraging the AI as a technology, which is where the focus area of embedding AI across the business processes take shape. Over the last 6 months, 6 months to 9 months, we are now in the domain of agentic, where we are looking at multiplying the force of AI, if you will, and get those agents to carry out deeper tasks, which would require going across the enterprise applications, fetching the information and translating and carrying out effectively a job that it has been asked to do. So the whole domain of the agentic AI is caught up the imagination, and for sure, we are also looking in the context of private cloud about the different agents. And with the FPSO1, we have a couple of agents already made available for beta consumption. As we speak in the context of the cloud ERP private, it is also clear that standard out of the box, either embedded processes or the agentic AI would not solve all of the requirements at the customers, because they'll always have those nuanced business processes, or they have their nuanced requirement which they would like to realize. And this is where the custom AI approach, leveraging the SAP Business AI platform, can help to seamlessly create those custom specific scenarios and realize those scenarios to work with the cloud ERP private. So it's a key part of the entire offering as well. And now the conversation, even as we talk about the agents and the different agents for different applications areas pick up, we are already talking about these agents talking to one another, across the domains, across the different applications, and even outside the context of SAP, for example, which is where we get into the realm of the collaborative agentic, which is also the direction and the vision, where we would want to support. But this is more in the future in terms of how we want to shape the strategy of AI. Hopefully, this gave a glimpse in terms of the approach from a cloud ERP private in terms of how we intend to leverage AI to deliver value. And as I said, we started fundamentally changing the way the end users interact by providing AI-based chatbot, if you will, AI-based assistant, what we call as Joule, which got released in the 2023 release. Many of you have helped actually customers get onboarded onto Joule, where it helps to provide that information in the context where the end user is working. They don't have to scourge through different documentations, or look at different online help to understand what's happening with the object, or to gain a better understanding of the business object that they're working in. But a simple question asked in the way we would normally use in our personal lives can very much help Joule to provide the relevant context and provide you with a qualified answer, because Joule itself is trained on terabytes of data of the help documentation. It understands the best practices, it knows the user context, and can provide you that information without having the end user to actually look for the information. It also helps to navigate to different the application areas where the end user would want to conduct the business process. So what we call as navigational scenarios, no longer required to pin those Fiori apps or understand or go to those transactions by remembering that by heart, but simple asking of questions in terms of, like, I want to work with production order, what is it that I need to do, right? And it can take you to the list of the relevant apps. So what we call is navigational scenarios. And then of course the key capabilities of carrying out the actual transaction, being it updating or creating new objects and so forth, that Joule would support. Now, there Joule has been embedded as a surface across the entire cloud ERP private, starting with all of the key areas that the cloud ERP private supports, and also specific apps which are like most widely used. Now, while we have made it easier for the end user to work with, it should be clearly noted and understood that this is also adhering to the roles and responsibilities what have been defined in the backend, in the SEO1, in the user authorizations, and in your SPRO. So only if the end user is authorized to carry out a particular action, or is authorized to access a particular information, the end user will be allowed. So more details of this in terms of what are the different areas, what are the different apps that are already supported and so forth, are publicly maintained in the node. So I think this is something of relevant use to you. And finally, of course, the support for the analytics, where we want to bring in the power of the analytics and make it available in the Joule, is also an extended capability. Now, as said, Cloud ERP Private is catering to the customers across the globe, and the end users work and talk in different languages, which is where when we started with Joule, it was about the support in English language, but this has significantly evolved over the last year, where all main languages are being supported, be it in Spanish, be it in French, German, Portugal, simplified Chinese, Arabic, and so forth. There are about more than 10 languages that are supported in Joule. All these are also maintained in the help documentation, which we will embed and share it for your perusal. So Joule for everywhere and Joule for everyone has been the theme. So support for different languages so that the end users can interact with, and also infusing Joule across the entire ERP applications so that they can take advantage of the natural language interactions across any application that the end user would work with. Now, how is it that we are rolling it in the context of the user? So for the FPSO1, no, we have the capabilities where we are leveraging the power of Joule to support the project managers and the project users at the organizations. Again, one of the very widely used applications within SAP. So Joule can, in addition to providing the information and providing those navigational capabilities, can help to provide a quick summary of the project for the end users, to really understand and provide a view of what the project is all about, or give a quick summary of the changes, for example, that has been executed on the project. All of this information can be readily shown by Joule. It can also help to show the information in regards to the financial view, for example, the cost and the revenue details for the projects, and showing that information based on either from a timeline perspective in terms of the fiscal year or also in terms of the components view. It can also point out to the missing components, for example, the missing parts or overdue activities that are there in the project. So the project manager or the project user need not have to navigate through the structure within the whole WBS tree, but just ask Joule to provide that information and can bring up to the surface what those missing parts are, so that they don't spend time to navigate and find the particular object, but focus more attention on actually resolving those issues. There's a missing part, maybe it needs to be triggered for procurement. So carry out on those activities rather than trying to look out for, okay, what is the missing part within the project. So the project assistant capability, what we call as intelligent project assistant capability, is one of the key developments of how we have leveraged AI in the FPS01 release. Now, when we talk about the product development, there is always a key topic of change management, right, as to how to orchestrate and execute a change process, within the organization. So we have the change record as part of the S4 SAP S4 HANA Cloud Private Edition, which is being heavily leveraged to orchestrate the product changes, both for discrete industries as well as process industries, uh, by wide variety of customers across industries. And one of the classic challenges within a change management is to know, if I'm introducing as a design engineer a particular change for the product, are there other changes which are quite similar to this one? No, either in terms of similar products that changes have been carried out, or similar change numbers that already exist, which are being executed within this organization that I can take advantage of, either from the lessons learned and so forth. But finding and accessing this information always took time, right? Of course, we have the transactions of where used, we have reports that could be run for the change. But these are time consuming and really non-value added activities from an end user standpoint, which is where we have looked to take the power of AI, the power of Joule, where it can help to summarize the changes. It can help to figure out, where a particular change number has been used elsewhere, or where similar change numbers exist, right? Where a certain particular product was involved. Now, bring all this information without the end user having to go through like three or four separate transactions and reports which are meant for them, but be able to surface them through a simple question so that the end user again can focus on more value-added activities. So this is how we intend to bring, and this is how we are delivering, through the FPS O1 capabilities, which really help the end users to enhance and expedite the way they work and engage with the system. So when we talk about establishing Joule as the engagement layer, or the recent paradigm has been that AI as the new UI. This is where we are looking at each of the key personas that engage continuously with the system, and see how we can enhance and improvise the way they engage and work with the system to get more out of SAP S/4HANA Cloud Private Edition. And another example in this direction is around the sales. So when we embarked on the journey of introducing AI in the context of Cloud ERP Private, sales was one of the front runners where we wanted to say, how is it we can surface the topics up to the sales engineer or up to the sales colleague in a much more efficient manner, so that they can focus on selling and not dealing with the SAP systems. We started with not only those information application helps and transactional helps, but we also help AI to help uncover the fulfillment issues. If there are blockages, for example, either the billing blocks or the delivery blocks, wherever the sales order processing was struck, we were able to surface that up to the end user, so that he or she can take a cognitive decision in terms of how they would want to proceed, right? Or get an understanding of where the issues were. If there's a delivery issue, then really bring up the information of where exactly it is stuck up, so that they can talk with the logistics colleagues to get those sorted out, as an example. We enhanced that in the previous release with FPSO of 2025, where we provided those explanation cards that could provide more detailed context and information. Now we are going to address with the FPS O1, another critical challenge that most colleagues within the sales would work with, which is about the expiring prices, right? Expiring prices and the pricing conditions. And here we are looking to see how the power of Joule can actually be leveraged to help them overcome and deal with the topics around those expiring prices. Quick short demonstration here, a recorded video where we want to show how this is playing out in action. So the sales colleague is now looking for managing those expiring prices, right? And obviously they would want to, Joule asks like what exactly is required by the end user, right? Where they specify, is it the timeline that you are looking at, or is there some other information that can help to understand and provide the relevant system information. So here the sales colleague is looking for those which are like expiring on April 30th in the particular sales org where she's working with. And it lists out all the pricing elements that are out there, be it for the product hierarchy or for the product material, giving the option to either navigate to those objects or even to just simply extend, right? Now, to understand what actually has happened, using the option to open that in the app. And here we can see that in the background, it has already opened the condition records that exist for those materials and the product hierarchies. And now is looking for extending the validity, right? Now it understands that validity for the pricing conditions are to be done, but doesn't really know whether it is by a month or whether by a year, or what is the time frame by which these conditions need to be extended, which is where the end user will say that extend by a day. But as we know that along with the timeline duration, the other thing that can be changed is also to change for the condition amounts, which is what Joule intelligently understands and requests the end user to provide that information. And once that information is available, so both extensions on the timeline perspective as well as the change for the pricing conditions have been requested. And it is not just going ahead and doing it, right? It is also asking for a confirmation. So again, this is like keeping human in the loop before it carries out those changes in the backend, right? So while this is a simplified example, the other key thing to note is also that, as we mentioned earlier, the roles and authorizations are of utmost importance. So in this particular context, the end user has the relevant authorizations to make these changes. But be rest assured that if the end user is not authorized, then Joule will not proceed further, either to show the information or to make those changes. So whatever has been defined in the background in the back end in terms of the customizing and the SU01 settings, those become at most important. So in this case, given that the authorizations were there, it triggered the background job for effecting those changes, and then also gives a link to those background jobs to see that these have been successfully executed. So hopefully this gives a perspective in terms of how changes have been performed on the pricing conditions, and how we are leveraging the power of AI to simplify the way the end user would engage, and also make sure that the relevant authorizations are provided. Now, so end user engagement is one part for driving the productivity, but there's a lot of scope of also leveraging AI to optimize the processes that happen in the background. And one such example, what we want to share, which has been enhanced and delivered as part of the FPS01, is in the domain of predictive labor demand planning. Now, typically, most of you know working within the domain of the warehouse management would know and understand that there are engineered labor standards approaches that are available, where the warehouse manager or the operations manager is typically looking at the performance of the different activities within the warehouse. He compares then that information that is available for a particular warehouse with the regional warehouses or whatever is available within the area, then develops a standard, uses them to prepare the systems and make the plans. Then those are getting executed, and based on the executed information, then further reporting and analysis is done to check out like what was initially planned, and how things have panned out, and then use this continuous loop to fine tune the overall operations within the warehouse. Now this is where we want to leverage the power of AI and machine learning, and say that all of this information is available within SAP. The historical information is available. The planned orders are available. Now, why can't the power of AI be leveraged to make sense of the information that is available, apply the algorithms that are out there, and make a prediction in terms of how much labor would be required, across what activities, across what stages, across what warehouses, and remove the burden of doing this entire rigorous procedure manually, right? So this is where we have the AI-assisted labor demand planning, which once configured within the environment is looking at the historical information of the different orders that have been executed, different steps that have been executed, leverage that information and apply the algorithms to also really look at the orders that are planned. So you can plan the orders for and the capacities around those orders for specified time duration, maybe for 3 days into the future, into the coming week, or coming couple weeks, and then accordingly use that information to plan your capacities. Maybe staffing needs to be adjusted, maybe certain activities need to be prioritized, and so forth. But you are leveraging the power and the insights that the system throws up to help you manage those. Now, with the FPS01, we have further enhanced the capabilities. We introduced this capability in the FPSO release last year, and we have further enhanced that in terms of providing the information in a well-defined Fiori app, which helps to understand the forecast based on the FTE, on the product, on the duration that are spent, or on the weight that is being handled within the warehouse, and focusing on all the three different activities that are involved in a warehouse operation, both the picking, packing, and the staging, so that all of these informations, based on the historic information, based on the orders that are planned, can then be leveraged to successfully plan out and predict in terms of the capacities that are available. So there are a couple of quick demonstrations as well on this topic. If I can quickly take you through that. So here we are looking at the app where all of the forecasts available for based on the FTEs, based on the production, based on the weight, based on the quantity of the warehouses are readily available and displayed. This can be looked from a timeline perspective, as I said, for week, 2 weeks, or next couple of days. This can be done for a particular warehouse or a particular activity area within the warehouse. Now, this can be further broken down, for example, in terms of the duration, right? And then looking for how the performance is going to be for the next 14 days. And particularly looking at a storage type area within or an activity area within the warehouse, and one can get to that level of details within the application. Now you can further drill down and also look at how these across what activities these are being planned. It illustrates like how this is being spread across different activity areas within the warehouse for the different storage types that have been defined and identified. It can also then show you based on the process step. So, for example, whether it is on the picking activity that most time is spent, or is it on the packing, or is it in the outbound? And accordingly, if any recalibration that would be required, or readjustments or prioritizations that would be required, these can be carried out by the warehouse operations manager. Again, the information that was available, AI-based algorithms being applied on that information and on the forecast being done for the specified duration as picked up by the end user. Hopefully, that gives a good glimpse in terms of how we are leveraging the power of AI also to support the business processes. And continuing on that is the other topic of how we are leveraging AI to expedite the goods receipt or handling of the inbound cargo documents for the inbound processes within the warehouse. So again, this is a combination which is at the cusp of both transportation and warehouse management, through the scenario what we call as advanced, shipping and receiving, where it is a traditional process to receive the manifest or the driver manifest, which is handed at the truck at the gate by the truck driver, and these have to be diligently reviewed by the clerk sitting at the gate of the factory. Check for the correctness of the numbers and the information provided. Check for the products that have been listed out, then transfer that into the SAP environment, for example, after doing the preliminary validation, and then allow for the system validation before it can go on through the rest of the processes. Like for example, assigning it to the relevant gate for unload in the context of the inbound processes. Now, this would from the different interactions with the customers. I mean, this can for a mid-sized customer, this can really take about 20 to 30 minutes for each truck to get that verified and get that information entered within the system so that it can go through the process. Again, this is where we are looking at the power of AI to just scan the manifest, whatever is provided at the truck, and allow the AI to do the heavy lifting. It understands the context of what field is representing what, and what is the corresponding alternate or the mapping on the data that is maintained within SAP, and carry out the rest of the processes, only allowing the end user to manage the exception. If there is either a quantity mismatch or there's a product name mismatch and so forth, only for those exceptional scenarios is the capacity of the person at the gate is being used, and not for just keying the information or checking each and every entry within that manifest of the driver. So we started supporting this scenario with primary delivery notes and shipping documents in the previous release. And with the FPS01, we have extended that to support the bordereau, which is the full-blown consignment order that or full-blown driver manifest that can be fully handled with the support of AI-assisted intelligence goods receipt scenario. Again, this is a real value unlocking scenario that is already being leveraged by our customers, and this is again enhanced and made available as part of the FPS01. We spent quite a bit of time on the AI, but no, quickly switching gears to the data part. So as part of the FPS O1, we have released more than 200 data products covering different areas, including logistics, finance, R&D, manufacturing. So those data packages are available. So if you look at the Business Accelerator Hub, we include a QR code and a link here that can directly take you to those released data products and packages that are available for Cloud ERP Private. Now, the power of the data product is that it carries the enterprise context, it carries the information, and it works with the zero copy technology. So there is no need to replicate, store, and no duplicate that information in any of the inside apps that you are creating to create that insightful story or the analytic story for your customers. Once the data product is available, so these can be readily leveraged, connected to the right systems. Once the configuration is set up, the enterprise context is there. It is always updated. There's no replication, duplication. It works on a zero copy technology, and that information can then be leveraged for building out those dashboards. So a huge investment area within SAP, Cloud ERP Private, and this is what we have delivered as part of the FPS O1. Now, quickly switching the gears to the application side of the house. It's not just the AI and the data space that we are investing on. There's also huge fundamental changes that we are bringing in and the innovations that we are bringing in from the core application standpoint. And significant development over the last few years has been in the domain of supporting intercompany sales and stock transfer. Many of you might remember that we started introducing advanced intercompany sales and stock transfer in around 2022 time frame, where this was primarily introduced to streamline and orchestrate the activities, where the a particular selling company can fulfill the customer order leveraging a different affiliate company. Was it possible earlier before? Certainly it was. I mean, you get a sales order and you can deliver it through a different affiliate company, but you had to take care of creating those stock transport orders or making sure that it's directly delivered to the customer. There are different topics around the logistics. While this is happening, there's also topics around transfer of control. There are topics around the valuation and so forth, which is where we fundamentally change the way this can be facilitated by automating this entire process, where there is a seamless orchestration of activities both on the financial front as well as the logistics front, to make sure that the customer order becomes the central object or the rallying object to automate and drive the downstream activities both on the finance and the logistics front. Now, in the 2022 release or up till now, this was only supported for situation involving two companies, so a selling company and an affiliate. Now, with the FPS O1 release, we have removed that restriction, and it now supports two or more affiliates in the equation, right? So it would still mean no that the central object of the customer order is leveraged, and the entire set of activities, be it on the logistics front of the house involving the delivery of the goods, um, and on the financial front of the house, so that there is a consistent approach to the billing document, for example, in consistency with the local tax conditions and regulations, uh, are fully respected and adhered. And also the valuation, whether it is valuation at the group level, at the profit center level, and so forth. These are considered and reported so that there is a comprehensive view of how this entire process is being carried out. Now, to support this, we also have the value chain analysis, the VCA, which brings in that transparency into the whole process of what is happening on the logistics side, on the finance side, and also provide a mechanism for handling the exceptions. And to facilitate and accomplish all of this, we also introduced a new master data object like the financial chain, which actually carries and contains the information of what are the affiliates that are involved, so what are the plants that are involved in this process, and from which plant to which plant is this sort of a movement happening, for example. So this is a significant new capability which has been leveraged by large multinational customers of ours, and I think this is a truly value unlocking innovation if you look at it, because it simply connects the entire part, from logistics, from finance to reporting to product compliance. So all of the different areas are now seamlessly working together to make sure such an advanced intercompany sales and a multi-stage intercompany sales and stock transfer can then be accomplished. In the domain of plant maintenance and asset management, we've worked and enhanced the whole topic of isolation management. It's a critical safety procedure, to have this lockout and tag out for those heavy equipment or machinery that involves whose maintenance involves the release of hazardous energy or hazardous substances. The operators safety becomes utmost important, so there are like well-defined procedures in terms of how those are to be shut down, how it is to be isolated, and when it is allowed to be restarted after the maintenance orders are done. We've been supporting this through work clearance management and work permits, but over the last couple of years we have renovated a lot of applications and user interfaces, the Fiori apps, to help support this whole process of permit to work. And with the FPS 01, we further renovate and introduce two new apps to, on one hand side, to create those templates for those isolation certificates that can be used across templates that can be used across the organizations, which are typically defined and managed by the hygienists within the organization, and also to create those isolation certificates for those specific scenarios, which can be directly created from the template or can also be created from the work orders, which are there, work clearance orders, which are there, following the 4I principles. So two new apps which help to further streamline the activities that are required, especially when it comes to the domain of isolation management. In the domain of order promising, a couple of quick innovations we just want to call out. One is in the support for quotations. So, typically we used the sales order, for product allocation and the supply production, but now this has been expanded to also support the quotations, which could help to enable our common customers to guarantee or to have a better predictable delivery for their end consumers, right? So even if there are quotations which are typically called off at different points of time, when those quotations are available, these are added to the strategies, like product allocation and supply protection, with their full quantity in, so that when the call offs do happen, it is with 100% confidence that the customers and the customer requirements can then be fulfilled using advanced ATP. Right now, of course, if the call offs don't happen and so forth, those quantities or the requested quantities are transferred back to the quotation, right, and they're available for consumption from other demanding elements, other sales orders which are out there. But inclusion of the quotations help in ensuring that the customer orders can be guaranteed, leading to a better end customer satisfaction. In the domain of supply chain, the other key development has been the support for ad hoc loading. I mean, typically in the warehouse management scenario, only once the packing is like fully completed and done, right, and then it is set as ready for shipping, that the activities can then be carried out. Now, we created in the FPS 0 version the opportunity to have intermediate loading, where if one of the handling units was available and set ready for shipping, then this could already uh, be leveraged for triggering the ad hoc loading part. Now with the FPS 01, especially for the scenarios where it is well defined, or routine transports as we call it. It is good enough to have a freight order with the basic destination information, or the ship to party information, if you will, to actually start the loading process. Now, for these routine transports, so the RF screening is, or the RF scanning is more than sufficient, and the applications have been developed in such a way that this scanning information is good enough for it to be assigned to the freight order, and the loading process can actually start. This is mainly helpful, as I said, for those scheduled transports or for this routine transport scenario, giving greater flexibility to expedite the overall process and not really wait, for the entire, set ready for shipping to be triggered before the actual loading happens. A couple of other developments around the asset management space has been the support for defining or managing the systems. Again, a new master data object has been defined to cater to the definition of the systems. Again, the systems as a collection of interdisciplinary things, no, consisting of the product, the equipment, the location, that have been defined by the ISO standards. Now, this has been replicated. So within FPS O1 release, it is now possible to define this master data object to map out those complex design systems, which are out there at the customer. So a typical oil rig will have a processing unit, it will have a cooling unit, it will have an electrical unit, and so forth, each with its own complex, deep structures of equipments and functional locations. And these can then be defined and mapped following the ISO standards of 81346 with the FPS O1 release. And support for also the intercompany repair, wherein it is quite common to receive a product from the customer and then send it to an affiliate to actually carry out the actual repair process. Now, to manage the logistics of this, again, a new capability which has been released as part of the FPS O1. Topic around R&D management. We are hurrying a bit here to keeping in view the time. We have leveraged the geo enablement framework and extended that to be, uh, working with the project related key objects. Mainly the project and the WBS element, which can then be superimposed or laid onto the maps, for example, using the SAP geospatial framework. Now, again, this leads to better transparency because I think within the geo framework, it's also heavily used, in the context of the asset and service, and especially for those complex manufacturing or asset intensive, customer requirements. This can be pretty handy to provide a quick view, geographically as well, or to say, what are the activities or what are the projects that are getting executed at, which plants and which locations, what are the assets involved, so that it is an intuitive way of representing the information that can hopefully help to expedite and accelerate some of the activities that those project engineers and asset technicians, for example, will be dealing day in and day out. In the context of manufacturing, no new KPI dashboard, new monitor, if you will, which captures the key essential parameters from a production standpoint, be it in terms of the idle time, the resource level, the capacity consumption, or those are readily represented. Again, a new Fiori app that you may want to check out for your engagements. One quick remark in terms of the central finance. What we have enabled as part of the FPS Zero is the seamless integration with Green Ledger. Uh, Hopefully, many of you are familiar and have already implemented the topic of Green Ledger, where we said we'll bring the rigor of the financial reporting and financial accounting to also manage the emissions, the ESG emissions, right? So that the companies can actually focus really on the triple line, right? Top line, bottom line, and also on the green line. Now, the integration with FPS 01 has been enabled for the central finance. So central finance, the customers who already have central finance can now integrate with the green ledger. For the new customers, if you are positioning, please note that central finance is only available with cloud ERP or private. It's only available in the private cloud edition. So the financial information from the central finance can then be seamlessly integrated into the green ledger, right? And of course, the green ledger also gets in the data, for example, on the emissions and so forth, from other solution portfolio like sustainability footprint manager. And this information, collective information, both on the financial front coming in from the central finance, as well as the CO2 related information coming in from sustainability footprint management, are amalgamated in a green ledger, and based off which, reporting, for example, can then be accomplished or done through Business Data Cloud, or this information can then flow into the group reporting, for managing that green line, if you will. So again, this was made available as part of the FPS 01 for central finance, and the integration in general for the SAP S4 and so forth are already available and maintained within the documentation. Now, we also want to share, a couple of key information. We covered quite a bit in terms of the innovations and so forth, but to also understand about the broader vision, what we have for Cloud ERP Private, how it is being leveraged to advance, many of the scenarios, including the agentic. We have our zeroth customers, so SAP's own treasury department, which have been at the forefront in terms of leveraging many of the assistants and the agents what we've got. Uh, so they shared their experiences and also a lot of information in regards to the upgrades and adoption, which was covered in the webinar that was launched on Feb 2026. Now, the recording of that is available. So in case you're not tuned to that particular webinar, would highly encourage you to take advantage of the recording to also get that executive perspective and a customer perspective, which is SAP's own treasury and real estate uh, department within SAP that have leveraged many of the AI scenarios. Now, we talked about AI quite a bit, and there's been a lot of requests what we've been hearing in terms of like how is it as partner that we can get started to many of these scenarios. So end of last year, beginning this year, we have an updated discovery package that is being made available for the partners, so that in addition to the curated demo guides that we have for wide variety of the application areas and the best practices. There's also an option now to leverage Joule, AI, and other BTP services that are available. So we have included a link for the partner portal. So this is something that you can review to get an understanding of whether this meets and fits your purpose, and then straight away secure the discovery package offering, where to the SAP managed environment, whatever BTP environment that you have within your landscape can then be effectively integrated and connected using the cloud connector, so that you can start using Joule and other AI scenarios that are made available, right? So we just wanted to leave you with this information. I think this has been something that has been like heavily requested. And one more topic, what we want to bring your awareness to is on the new white paper that we have leveraged. A lot of innovations, in many conversations with the customers, one of the key things that is, also holding them back is, their, customizations and Z reports and Z transactions, which is really hampering them from upgrading to the latest and the greatest innovation, which is where SAP said that we'll provide a framework and a mechanism in terms of how the core can be kept solid and clean, so that the upgrades can happen while the customer specific developments can still be developed using the extensibility framework, what SAP has outlined. Now there has been a refresh of this overall approach for extensibility using clean core. It is a lot more detailed, no, not only outlining the guiding principles for the clean core, but also being able to do both the on-stack development as well as side-by-side development, leveraging BTP and information in terms of the different levels or the categorization of the different levels of clean core. So a lot of this information is available in this detailed report, detailed white paper, which is available also on the .com page, and we have included a link to this. So this has become an increasing part of the conversation, that we have been having with the customers in terms of while we see all of this AI, while we understand the importance of the cloud ERP private, we want to get there and we want to get to the latest and the greatest. But what is the recommendation from SAP to make sure that our customizations are not like hampering us? We can continue to use them, but at the same time, do our upgrades so that we can benefit from those innovations. So this framework has been done in consultation with a lot of and inputs from a lot of customers and user groups and so forth, but clearly outlines the step-by-step approach and the way in which the vision of clean core can be accomplished. So we would like to also point you out in this direction to this report that you can leverage. And of course, from a functional standpoint, we always have a lot of blogs and community posts, which talks about all what you saw here in a little bit more detail. And you can also double click in each of the areas, be it in finance or be it in the logistics and so forth, to really understand what are the other innovations that have been delivered as part of the FPSO1. So feel free to leverage the community resources. There's always numerous innovations and enhancements that are being done in terms of the capabilities supported for Joule, for example, in the cloud ERP private. These are constantly getting updated on a monthly basis. So we've included the links to those as well. And the key question of like, what is the latest release that I need to be on to leverage either a AI scenario or a Joule and so forth. That information is also captured within a note that is centrally maintained. So for many of the releases, this has been downported till 2022 release, with a few exceptional ones which have been downported even to a release lower. So it will be always good to verify, validate, and keep yourself updated in terms of which cloud ERP private release that the customer needs to be on before taking advantage of many of the scenarios what we saw from a AI perspective. So with that said, I think we are on top of the hour. We'll pause here to see if there are questions. But thank you very much for your time and attention. And hopefully you got a glimpse in terms of the key innovations what we delivered as part of FPS01 for the 2025 release. With that said, I hand it to Ronak to see if there are any questions.
So Vinay, I can see there are some question, but it is already answered by Christine.
Perfect. Good. Thanks, Christine, for answering. And I guess we are on top of the hour. Again, thanks a lot for your time and attention. And the deck, along with the other material, hopefully will be shared by Ronak and team. And with that said, I hand it back to Ronak for closure then.